honest way. We focus on fundamentals for our directional bias and technicals for our entry. And what we can see is that last week was a beautiful one. But this week, what we have on the markets that's going to move the market so much is the US CPI. So the inflation data from the US on Wednesday. Oh, it's on Tuesday, sorry. And what we're pricing in this market is a 2.6. The market is pricing in 2.6, and that's a good one. So if 2.6 is what the pricing in and previous was 2.4, we can take a look at the monthly also. 0.3 still higher. So if this is higher, then we can work with a bullish dollar on this case. And the inflation data also from the card, the market is pricing in a little bit higher, but still somehow flat, not too much. So if we look at last week on card, we had a little bit of a good employment data, so that's why the card is a little bit strong. And we can go to our COC report to take a look at what we have. Where is it? Okay, so what we have, as you can see, we are still bullish. Commercials are now entirely bullish. They're showing the signs of full bullishness. And the problem I have with the open interest is that it's a flat. But it's known that when commercials lead, then speculators follow. We are already bullish here, alright. And labor data came out positive. That's one. CPI, we are pricing in a positive one, so potentially we would be seeing a push to the upside. And that's what we are just looking at, but we react regardless. So going to the chart on the Dixie, the first thing we look at again is on the monthly time frame. What we have is we have a drop-based drop on the monthly time frame. Looking at this, it's telling us that we expect price to head up here. So if price should head up here, then we might see shorts if we're going to shorts. But if it's not going to be a short, then we can look at longs. Remember, we have high, we have a low, and then we have a higher high, so we're looking for a higher low. Also, this we can say this is the lower low, this is a lower high internally. So could this be a lower low that's reacting at this demand? Okay, if that is the case, then we can say, all right, we are looking for price to push higher. And for that reason, what's the weekly saying? Weekly and the daily is a downtrend. So there is a 4 hours supply zone within this daily. Currently we are already at a zone, but I don't think that should hold. So it's looking for a push at least to this supply before we can see a push down here and then higher, if that is the case. Remember, this is our lower low, this is our lower high. If we see internal structure doing this, then we know of course it has to take it out, because there is nothing much inside this zone. So if we are bullish on the dollar, kind of bullish to neutral on the CAD, bullish on the Aussie, and then we have NZD yen weakness. We go to our chart. Let's start with the dollar. What we have, Aussie USD, I'm not trading it for reasons why both of them are bullish, right? We have BTC. This was one of the trades I took, which last week I'm penned, but anyways, Euro So let's look at that first. And it's almost exactly the way Dixie is. What we see here is we are looking at longs to short, which we've been shorting it this week. Let's clear everything. See, the market's reacted as a supply. So what we have here is a weekly demand. So I'm expecting price to come down there, and then we have this the next demand. All right, if you look at this on the daily time frame, this is the entire range. This is the entire range. So if we should see price break this range, we know we are coming deep to grab this liquidity. And if a good data is there on the Dixie, you will see shorts, and which means this will be a break of this other range, telling us that price has to go lower, all the way to take out this 1.0. so we will be going back to parity if that is the case. But for now we are working with this. We go to the GU is the same thing. I don't think this zone should hold, right? We've been looking to this was our analysis, but let's take everything out. I'm expecting a little reaction from here, but if the CPI comes in bad, definitely this would be a perfect setup. This would be a perfect setup, and then we can look for longs, massive longs to the upside. But for now, we're still focused on the weakness. So this would be this to short. And if we have a breakout structure on this, just know that price is gonna come all the way to this point, because it was supposed to do a deep pullback here, but it didn't. So we would work with that on if you modify the zone on the 1 hour time frame. Sorry, let's look at this. This is a D1 supply. Alright, so there is nothing clearly here. The only thing I'm seeing is just above this range. So should we have that, then we can short. Why? Because this is our range. This is our range. Low, high, lower low, and this is lower high. So could this be a lower low to create a lower high? Then we can short. That's our plan for GU. Going to NU, we can work with NU too. So on the weekly time frame, what do we have? Look at this. So we can take out this. We are looking, this is a lower low, this is a lower high, right? This is a lower low, that's why we've been longing. Now we're looking for a lower high. Internally on the daily time frame, right? We have on the daily time frame we have this structure. Low, low. So unless this is broken before we can look out for shorts, right? But then there is a supply here. There is that supply, and from that supply, if you look at it from your 1 hour and the 4 hours, the market is looking too long, right? There's a little breakout structure here, but are you sure it's going to be a full long, or it's going to be a push and then sink because the CPI will come in positive for the Dixie? Can that be possible? But if that's not the case, then you know you have to long that, because that's clear structure. Looking at the card, USD card. Now I've been long on this guy, but let's look at this. On the weekly, we are reacting at a demand. Looking at it from a daily time frame, we expected the market to continue because this is the range, right? So we expect this to push at least to this point, 1.130, before we can short if there's going to be a short. But if there's no short, we know this is to equal highs. So that's the same with okay, back, sorry about that. Going to the 4 hours, we already broke this structure which I made mention last week. So this market reacted here. I'm expecting to buy at market open, but should there be a deeper retracement, I understand this is my demand, so it will be a good one. So this is, I'm just focused on that for this week. This week is not much of a nice one, but then we have the yen, USD yen, which, as you can see, the massive candle there we have on the daily time frame, or demand kind of. So if we have a pullback, a deeper pullback to this demand, remember this is the range, we have this range, right? So if there should be a break, we should expect a demand here to continue higher. So that will be what I will be looking out for on the USD pairs. Looking at gold, it's bullish, which silver is bullish, as we've said. We missed this entry, and exactly the way I analyzed it, it's played out exactly. So it's this is the range, and it did that. So I'm looking at continuation at this zone, so probably this should happen. That's what I'm looking out for silver. For gold, on the weekly time frame, look at this. The previous weekly candle is a bullish one. This it's a bullish one. So if you go to your H4, I have this breakout structure here. Look at this structure. It has been coming down, and then we broke, which I said I'm expecting a longs here, which it did bounce at first, then bounced the second time, and now it has broken structure very clear. So I've kept my alerts. Should we see a pull here, I'm looking to long this, at least to this supply first, then maybe we can long again. It's just very plain simple. That's what I'm looking out for the dollar pay. In terms of Aussie strength, Aussie card is actually a nice one. As you can see, it was a very fine setup for me. Previous candle is still bullish. Looking at the structure on the 4 hours and the daily time frame is bullish. So price should continue higher, and I expect price to give us a push to the upside in that manner. We have CAD yen. Alright, this is what I'm looking at for CAD yen. Just a pullback to a demand, just a pullback to this demand and up. Okay, in terms of Aussie strength, this is okay for longs, but both are bullish, so I would focus on pound AUD. So this was my analysis, and it played out to this point, which I was not in, so I expected a change here. Unfortunately it failed, so everything on this is out. We have a new outlook. Looking at it from a weekly time frame, look at this. Price is going to the downside, so I just have to find where is the daily structure. We have our demand here, supply. This is our supply area. So should there be a push on up to that point, then we're looking to short. We have should be it for the week. Euro kind of weakness, strength, pound weakness, NZD weakness, yen weakness, CAT neutral bullish to bullish, Swiss neutral to bullish, Dixie neutral to bullish.